Adoption has always just been a fact that I've known about my whole life, and I acknowledge it every day, but it's not something I feel completely lost in life about.
I have friends who, they say they're adopted, and I'm like, you don't look like you're adopted, but even that, society has this preconceived notion that people who are adopted are automatically internationally adopted, but even people of other nations look exactly like the standard American.
When I was growing up, I was the diversity of my school. And so I called myself white when I was really young because I didn't like that I was tanner than everyone, that everyone had brown or blonde hair and I had black hair, and I didn't like it when teachers said like, oh, a cute little China girl.
Being adopted and knowing that affects me in different ways with different people. Growing up, I never would associate myself necessarily with being adopted, and I came from a community that was predominantly white. For context, I know I was the only person of color within my whole high school.
I think it's a big part of my identity. It's definitely always in the forefront of my mind. I definitely faced the challenges of I'm not American enough and I'm not Chinese enough. So in America, everyone looks at me and they think I'm like a foreign exchange student, or they think I don't know, someone who's not supposed to be here. And in China, especially when I bring my parents, obviously we stick out like a sore thumb. They think I'm the translator, or they think that I actually am very fluent in the language, when in reality I can have like a conversation with you and that's about it. I've definitely grown up with not knowing whether I'm this or that, and that's been really hard for me.
I guess the closest thing to challenges would be kind of acknowledging the fact that my sister and I look different from our parents, because our parents are white, we're both Latinx people, which I guess really didn't start to become a little bit of like an alienating thought until I got older, like, probably around high school, just because it's around the time where you start to question a lot of things.
I remember when I was in high school, I was maybe a sophomore. I was in a class with a bunch of guys on the football team, and there were a few of others here and there. One of them made a joke, oh, your mom didn't tell you you're adopted, to somebody else. And so I just turned around and I said, is there a bad thing about that? And everybody immediately got really quiet and they felt really bad. And I said, I'm not really mad, but I just want you to think about the fact that sometimes parents don't tell their children. It is something that shouldn't necessarily be joked about.
I've gotten some racist comments when I go out to Super One or something, and people are like, wow, your English is really good. And I'm like, thanks, Brenda, so is yours.
I grew up in a white family, pretty much in a very white suburb too. Went to a very white school district, and I guess people could claim that I have white mannerisms, whatever that means. It's just what I learned, it's what I grew up with. I guess it's a little sad to say, but I guess my whiteness had me have more of a privileged life than it could have been.
I think the media portrays adoption as kind of this white savior thing. This child is starving and alone and she needs help, or he needs help, and we are the only people who can be here to save them. I don't like that term, I don't like that whole idea or anything. Kids don't need to be saved, especially by white people. It makes them kind of up on a pedestal. My parents definitely did not save me.
The good intentions are definitely there, but also I do feel like there's a little too much emphasis put on the alienation aspect of it, where I feel like whenever you do come across a character in mainstream media that happens to be adopted, the aspects of feeling alienated and kind of feeling like of not having any sense of direction in the world, those are things that definitely exist and they're real, and I think those should be kept, but also I don't feel like that should be the entire character's personality.
I see a lot more international adoptions, such as such and such celebrity adopted so-and-so from the Congo or from South Africa or from Brazil. And so a lot of that is international adoption, which, don't get me wrong, it's great. But it's important to talk about the adoption that happens even within the States. Parents can change their minds just by a flip of a switch.
Everyone is different, everyone goes through different things, everyone deals with that trauma, because it is a trauma. You're taken from your parents. That is like a really tricky thing to go through, and I think the media does a horrible job.
I guess another challenge would be the uncertainty of whether you will come across your birth parents ever again. You know, whether or not they still even exist. I mean, we have pictures of them at my parents' house, but other than that, we don't really have contact with them, which is weird because it's something I would love to do at some point in my life.
I have been back to China. I've had the wonderful opportunity to be back multiple times, and I've gotten to meet with my caretaker and stay over in China to study for quite a few times.
I have never visited. I've always wanted to go. Definitely hoping to one day, whether you know, it's to meet my birth parents or not. You know, I'd love to set foot there.
I would love to visit India, and if I were to go, I would like to experience both the wealthy culture and the poverty culture there, because I want to get all sides of the spectrum. That being said, I don't really have a desire to try to find my birth family or to meet anybody, just because my life is here and a lot of my desire is just to be in the present and in the now.
I'm very curious to learn if I had any siblings. I'm really curious to learn, why did you give me up, kind of thing. Sometimes I kind of want to smack them. Sometimes I want to be like, I just want a hug.
I think the only question in reality, if I were to actually meet them, would be just why? Just kind of for more explanation, because I even may have siblings and they may not even know about me. I don't know.
You know, I feel like if I probably was not adopted, I don't think I would have as much of an appreciation for the things that I'm passionate about in my life.
My parents, it was very important for them that we grow up seeing people who looked like us, to know that yes, we were different, but that's normal and that's okay, and there's a whole nother world out there, and we are very privileged to have both sides of that world.